Hello geometry students, and welcome to a video on using reflections to aim a golf ball, in a miniature golf ball, and then we're also going to do this with a billiards ball, and we're going to figure out exactly where to aim the ball so that it bounces off the wall and goes directly into the hole. Okay, so we're going to start out by using a pencil and just kind of estimating. Okay, we might just want to just do a little estimate of where that will go. So I'm just going to estimate right about there. It's going to go right off there and into the hole. I don't know, maybe I'll be off. Maybe you see it differently. But we're going to find out, doing this mathematically to find out. Okay, so the first step when we want to do this is we always want to work backwards. So we want to actually aim the ball towards the reflection of the hole. Now this is a fairly simple case because this is just a single wall. We're just going to bounce it off of wall AB, but we want to aim the golf ball to the reflection of the hole. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find H prime. H prime will be the reflection over this line AB. So we're going to find the reflection over AB of H, and that's going to give us H prime. Okay, so we're going to reflect the hole over the line the wall that we're trying to bounce the ball off of. So here I'm going to always go with the very, very center of the hole. And I'm going to use the same method that I showed you before to reflect. So I'm using the lines on my ruler so that the lines, and I'm using the 7 right now, so that the line is, there's a little glare, there we go, so that the line tells me that the ruler is perpendicular to the wall. Okay, so I'm going right through the center, right about there. So I'm going to make a line that's longer than I need it to be. Okay, yeah, and it's a little bit, it might bother you a little bit that it goes through the writing, but that's just the way these problems are. Now I'm going to take my my measuring paper, which remember I just use a piece of sticky note, and I just fold back the sticky part, and I'm going from the center of the hole, and of course, the ball is going to bounce off of the inner part of the wall. So even though this wall has thickness, I don't care about that side. I care about this side, right? So it's going to bounce off of that side of the wall, and that's going to just mark in the distance. Again, you could measure this distance if you want, but I'm just using a tool to make it a little bit quicker and more accurate. And so then we just do this. This is kind of doing what a compass and straight edge would do. This is H prime. Again, this point to this point, this is the midpoint, so these would be equal, and this line, the line that it's bouncing off, and the line here, the segment, are perpendicular. So that means that the wall AB is the perpendicular bisector of the segment formed by H and H prime. Now, the fun part. We found the target. We would just have to aim towards H prime. So aim the ball, G, towards H prime. Let's see what happens. Okay, so if I aim it, I'm going to use my ruler to aim it. If I aim it towards H prime, again, I want the center of the ball, so I'm just going right to the center, as close as I can get to the center of the ball. I don't want to be like that. I want to be right through the center. And I aim towards the hole that I just found, the H prime that I just found, the reflection of the hole. And it's actually not going to make it there, right? Because there's a wall in the way. I'm going to move it a little bit more. There's a wall in the way. It's going to hit the wall. It's not going to go through the wall. So this is sort of a virtual path right here. This is just virtual. Where is it going to go? It's going to bounce off of the wall straight into the hole. So here's the actual path of the ball, hole in one. There you go. Angle of incident is right there. Angle of reflection is right there. And if we did our construction correctly, it would be equal. All right, that's a simple one wall problem. What if we want to bank off of 2 walls? Okay, let's look at what we have here. So this is billiards. Billiards is different from pool, and then it doesn't have any, there's no holes in it. You don't try to get the ball in the pocket. You actually try to just get the cue ball to bounce off of 1 or 2 other balls. I think the actual game is 2 balls. You have to try to get the cue ball to hit 2, but there's only 1 here in this picture, so we're going to focus on getting that ball, the cue ball, to hit B. But we're given directions here. Bank the cue ball, C right there, off of X, then off of Y to hit B. Just like before, we're going to go backwards. So we're going to start out by reflecting what we want to reflect, B, over the last place that it goes, which is Y. So we're going to reflect B. Let's just zoom in a little bit here. We're going to reflect B over Y to get B prime. So it's going to go this way. So I get my tools ready here. And I want to go perpendicular to this wall. So I'm just going to try to line the ruler up right to the center of the ball that I'm, the destination, right? Not the wall that I'm hitting, but the ball that I'm hitting it into. And maybe just like that is the middle. And just make it longer than it needs to be. Now we're going to use the measuring paper to store the distance from the center of that ball to the wall right here. And then I'm going to bring that distance down to the other side of the wall. So that's where it would end up right there. So this is B prime. So our first step was we reflected B over Y. We're reading this, literally reading it backwards. So one was reflect B over Y. Okay, number two, we're going to continue reading backwards. We found B prime, right, to find B prime. Makes it a little bit easier if we have a name for things. Now we're going to reflect B prime over X. And that's going to give us B double prime. So that's what happens when you do two reflections. You get two little tick marks there. So we're going to reflect B prime, which we just found down here, over X, which is over here, this line over inside the pool table. So this is the point we want to reflect. I do need to extend that line just a little bit. So I'm going to extend that line so that I can at least see it to reflect over it. It's nice to see the line you're reflecting over. And now I'm going to do the reflection. So I'm going to go perpendicular to the line that I just extended, which is the wall X, and I'm going to reflect B prime over it. I'm not reflecting B, I'm reflecting B prime, so it's outside of the table right now. And it'll still work out, so let's see what happens. So I'm going to make a nice long line here. I'm going to go farther than I probably need to. Now I want to get the distance from here to here to be equal, so I'm going to use my paper again. So I'm going to get this distance to the wall, which is this far right here, and then I just slide this over, and it's right there. Got to remember which one you're doing, and that is B double prime. Now is this going to work? Let's see what actually happens here. We're now going to aim, step 3, is to aim for B double prime. Again, I'm just reading this backwards. I'm done reflecting. Now I'm going to aim the cue ball towards the last reflection that I made. This is a double prime, by the way. All right, so we're going to aim C towards B double prime. Let's see what happens. Of course, it's not going to go there because there's a wall in the way. So it's going to hit the wall on the way to B double prime. Right? So I've got it right in the middle. Trying to get it right in the middle of that cue ball that I'm going to hit. It's going to go towards B double prime. That's where I'm going to shoot it, towards B double prime. This is just sort of an imaginary path because I'm aiming towards a reflection. It's not going to be actually all on the pool table. And then from there, it's going to bounce, and guess where it's going to bounce to? Not the hole. It's going to bounce to B single prime. It's going backwards now. So it bounces from the wall right towards B prime. Get my ruler lined up just perfectly. So then I've got that, and then the virtual path that if it were to continue, but it won't. And then where's it going to go from there? It's going to bounce off the wall and go right where we started, which is from B. Let's see if this actually looks right. So when we finish it, one thing we want to ask ourselves is, are all of the laws of reflection intact here? Does this look like these two angles are equal? They look like it to me. They look equal. And does it look like these two angles are equal? And it does. So we've got the law of reflection on the billiards table, and it works perfectly. And this would be the path of the ball. We'll go from here, and then it will bounce this way, and then it will go right into the other ball. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you find it helpful.